Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video response to the Zeeks last sub contest, 300 subscribers contest. First and foremost, congratulations on the 300 subs. I'm sure there's many more waiting for you in the future. Had a great time enjoying your videos. And I do have some Vinyl Community Love Train love to give, but I think I'm going to wait till next video to do that, because I want to kind of do it all at once. But I received some very cool stuff from a few people in the VC, and want to make sure I share that and definitely say thank you. I do want to mention this too, because I'm pretty excited about this. In about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, what you're hearing in the background, I will be going to see Kiss for the first time. So I kind of got in that mood. I've been playing the 8-track here for the last few minutes. But yeah, Kiss is playing, and they're opening, or Motley Crue is opening up for them, so I'm all kind of dressed and ready to go. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'll kind of give you guys just a simple review or something when I shoot a video later this week. But let's jump into the contest, which kind of, not kind of actually, I mean, it stems from the news that Jeff shared with us just a while ago, which is he's condensing his collection way down, and he kind of went through and and he explained why he was doing it, and I think it was a very interesting thing for me, without question. I mean, Jeff has definitely been a core piece of the vinyl community here. He's been around for a long time. He's shared a lot of stuff. He's just a good guy in general, and so it's definitely sad to kind of, I guess it's sad on our part to kind of hear and see what he's about to do. And I found it interesting for myself because it was one of the first times that I felt like I was kind of closed-minded towards, someone in the VC. And I mean, just kind of in the sense that, like, typically if someone shares with me how they feel about something or whatever else, it's just kind of like, well, okay, that's what it is, and that's the way they feel, and I accept that. Whether I agree with it or not, I accept it. Jeff's news was kind of the first thing I think I've experienced in the VC where I really felt like I don't really accept that. I don't know if it's kind of a protective thing or just, me having to think about a collection like that going almost as if it was my own, that was going or something, but it just kind of brought about a little bit of reaction to me. I just remember just having this overwhelming feeling with Jeff of just kind of thinking, if you feel that you're ready to move on to another stage in life and, all those different things that come into play, I was just like, why not just box it all? If money's not the issue, of course I don't know anything about, personally, financial situation or all that stuff, but I was just thinking if money was not the issue, man, Jeff, just box it all up and put a blanket over it, and just like make it where it's not accessible for the next year, and come back this time next year and just see how you feel, see what's going on. And it's just like I had like this overwhelming urge to tell him to do that. As if I know what's best or anything. But I just thought that was an interesting reaction that kind of brought up, which was kind of deep to me. I don't know. It just shows, for me personally, my love for vinyl, and then my appreciation for Jeff's collection, as well as my appreciation for Jeff himself. Just all those elements kind of came together with that overwhelming feeling of almost like protecting him or something. I don't know. It's just really weird. It's just a very strong connection thing. But again, it just shows my feelings and my concern for Jeff and how he's feeling and what he wants to do and that he's okay and all of that. And not saying that what I'm saying is what's okay. I'm just kind of saying just the fact that something big was going on in his life. My concern and feelings for him popped up, and I thought that was just kind of cool. So anyway, let's actually get to the answer and not just necessarily the thing that has spawned this particular contest. What I would get rid of and what I would keep. I think there's one thing that needs to be clarified in that answer, because I thought about it right before I started making the video, was when we talk about getting rid of something, are we talking about like I have to cut my collection in half, and then you're going to go put me on a desert island for the rest of my life, and those are the only records that I can have? Are we talking about like I have to cut my collection in half in order to move across state or across the country, but then once I get there, it can just be regular life where I can still visit stores and order stuff online and blah, blah, blah. Because that's two completely different keeps and get rid ofs, if you will, in those two different scenarios. So I'm answering this from the standpoint of I'm cutting my collection in half, I'm moving across country, but then I'll be able to just continue to buy records like normal once I've moved and settled wherever it is I'm going. So that's how I'm answering this. Because that's very, very important. So I'm just going to kind of visually work my way across the room and give you an idea about what I would keep and what I wouldn't keep. Maybe I'll just kind of walk around with it. That might even be even easier. Let's do that. So let me grab the camera here. So let's start over here. As you guys know, this is my metal section over here, or basically all metal, and then you got hard rock and punk, and then some other stuff here. So my entire metal section, I would definitely want to keep all of this. There's not much in here that I would want to let go, whether you're talking about 80s hair metal to kind of grunge and alternative over here. Down here, which is the soundtracks, I would be able to get rid of maybe half of my soundtracks. I definitely love the 80s, and 80s soundtracks are my favorite. So about half of those, maybe even a little less than half, but I would say I could get rid of half, that you could probably find in your average dollar bin or here and there. But there's some 80s stuff in there that you just do not stumble across every day. Stuff like Better Off Dead and Just One of the Guys and stuff like that. So that's stuff that I would not get rid of. But I could cut half my soundtracks off. This down here is now compilations in jazz, as well as right over here is also jazz with my Coltrane and Mobley and Davis and so forth. And I could probably get rid of a majority of my jazz as well. Not because I don't like jazz, but a lot of these, like the Coltrane and the Mobleys and everything that I have here, these are pretty much all those Blue Note reissues that you can pretty much find anywhere for about 12 or 13 bucks a pop. So, those would be very easy to gather again. So, if I could even just keep all of my Coltrane and maybe 10 or 15 pieces from the rest of my jazz section, I would be able to get rid of the rest of my jazz there. And of course my compilations over there, I have no problem getting rid of a majority of those as well. Going over here, this is all R&B as well as hip hop and so forth. So this section right here being all 60s and 70s R&B, I could probably cut about half of that as well. There's some Curtis Mayfield and a few other things I would definitely want to keep. But there's also some very basic stuff like a lot of Diana Ross stuff and Smokey Robinson and things that I know I could pick up very easy in the future as well. So I could pretty much cut half of this section right here. And then going into the 80s R&B, which is all this down to there, probably the same thing. I could probably cut somewhere around half of that if I had to. Maybe a quarter of it. I could get rid of a quarter of my 80s R&B. Rap and hip hop, that's a section I would probably keep a little more of, probably a majority of it, just because, again, I like a lot of the 80s and early 90s hip hop and R&B, and that stuff is not always expensive, but it can be very tough to find. So I wouldn't be as apt to get rid of that. Reggae and world, again, a few choice gems in there, but for the most part, I could get rid of a good portion of that. With the exception of maybe 4 or 5 records in my country, I could probably get rid of a good portion of that. My easy listening, again, that's probably something that could go pretty easy. What else down there? My blues section I would want to keep, because most of the blues that I have is stuff that I really, really like, especially my R.L. Burnside collection. So I would want to keep a majority of that as well. Gospel LPs, there's really only 2 in there that I know I would have to keep. The others I would be willing to give away. So the last thing we have over here would be this stack, which is basically all rock, just going from classic to psych, and then it's just kind of 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way down. So with the classic rock up here, again, there's very good stuff in there. There's Zeppelin, Hendrix, Aerosmith, Bad Company, just a lot of different things in there. But I could probably get rid of a good portion of that as well, because again, is Jimi Hendrix Electric Ladyland or Band of Gypsies a great album? Of course, they're fantastic. But they're also fairly easy albums to find if you want to get a copy of it. So I'd be willing to get rid of that. My psych, I would want to keep pretty much all of that. That's a section I wouldn't be as apt to get rid of anything. 60s section right up through here. Again, you're talking about the Beatles in there. You're talking about the McCoys, Art Garfunkel, just kind of the 60s stuff. So again, I don't think a lot of that would be too hard to get my hands on again, so I'd be fairly willing to get rid of a good chunk of that. Black box, everything in the black box stays, without question. I mean, that's Stone Temple Pilots' Core, that's Smashing Pumpkins' Melancholy, Dave Matthews Band's These Crowded Streets, all that stuff. I wouldn't want to get rid of anything in that box. And then 70s, same thing here. There's a lot of good stuff in there, but it's also stuff that could be pretty easily replaceable. So I could probably cut my 70s and my 80s section there in almost half, maybe a quarter on those. What else we got here? Oh, the 80s alternative, which starts there and comes down to here. That's a section I would want to keep pretty much all of, because again, it's just stuff that seems to be not harder to get, but it's part of my 80s that I enjoy a little more. And then the last part is all 90s stuff right down, 90s and 2000s right down here. A majority of the ladies of the 90s over here I would definitely keep, and I don't know, I probably wouldn't be willing to cut as much of my 90s to 2000 sections out, so I would keep probably a higher percentage of that. And then over here, the last section of vinyl in terms of mixed artists, just a lot of random artists here. So I would say Aerosmith, I could keep half. David Bowie, I'd want to keep everything. Alice Cooper, and I'd be willing to get rid of my Alice stuff and replenish it later. Donna's, I'd want to keep everything. Doors, I could cut that in half. Bob Dylan, I'd keep all my Dylan stuff. I'd keep all my Pink Floyd stuff. Definitely all my Van Halen stuff. Definitely all my Joan Jett. I could get rid of Elton John. I could get rid of half of Madonna. I want to keep all my Depeche Mode. I'm actually really getting into this. I want to keep all my Roxy Music. I keep all my Prince. I could cut Deep Purple in half. I could cut Queen in half. All my CCR I want to keep. All my Rush I want to keep. All my Sade I want to keep. Bruce, I could probably cut in half, because that's some of that stuff's pretty easy to replace. Styx, I could get rid of. U2, if I can keep 2 or 3 of those in particular, I could cut the rest. Weezer, I want to keep pretty much all of that. Lucinda Williams, want to keep all of that. Stevie Wonder, I could cut that in half. And then, of course, Neil Young at the end. I probably want to pretty much keep all my Neil. So, geez, that's really kind of breaking it down. That's about how I would cut and what I would be willing to cut if I had to get rid of a good chunk of my collection. I think with everything I said, that would have probably cut it in about half, I believe. And again, not saying any of those sections I want to get rid of because I don't like the music or whatever, but I'm strictly thinking about ease of replacement would be the deciding factor in what I would actually get rid of. But anyway, congrats on the 300 subs, and as always, let me know what you guys think, and we will talk to you soon, BC. All right, take care, guys.